All right, in front of me, I have piles of books that represent 20 different authors that are crowding my TBR. And I want to go through them and let you know, what kind of things I'll be reading and what I'm jazzed about right now. So, starting with 20, I am very excited to get to more of Robin Hobb. I have done the first one, but I have put it off over and over and over because I just didn't want to start a big, massive thing yet. But I will get to it. I am looking so forward to it. Is this anyone's favorite series out there? I'm looking forward to it, but I'm least likely out of all of these to pick up Robin Hobb at the moment until I get through some of these other things. The next thing, I do want to get to more Dan Simmons. I have read Hyperion. I would like to get to Fall of Hyperion at some point. I know it's split up and down whether people like it, but I have heard that it is it does go along with Hyperion, so I do want to get to that. And I do want to get to Ilium, which is a take on, a sci-fi take on the Odyssey or the Iliad. So, looking forward to getting to that. Another one, the Dandelion Dynasty. I did read the first couple chapters of this, and I was also reading another thing, and I just thought, I'll put this down until I have a moment to really binge through the four, and I just haven't yet. So looking forward to it. So don't have any idea where it goes, but I am still thinking about those opening sequences. I don't know if I'm going to get to it this year, but I sure hope I will be able to. Number 17. It must be 17. I will get to more Adrian Tchaikovsky. I'm not sure how much. I would like to read this new book that's coming out soon, Shroud. I would like to continue on in the Children of Time series. If you haven't done that, it's like a Planet of the Apes sort of take on a different planet, but with different creatures other than apes. I think it's fantastic. It's pretty well regarded. And it's a trilogy, even though you could read the first one as a standalone, and it has about the best epilogue I've ever seen in a book. I would like to get to some more John Scalzi. I wasn't a major fan of Old Man's War, but I do like some of his sensibility and his humor, and I figure that I will like this one since I'm a big fan of Star Trek. But again, these ones here, actually, this could probably go lower on the list, but these first five are my least likely that I'll get to. Now, the next stack, they're only at this point, basically 15 to 11. They are at this point because there's only really like one more book of theirs that I'm looking for. It doesn't mean I like them less than the next ones coming up necessarily, but that I'm less likely to grab one of their books because there's less books of theirs. So I will finish the Edan trilogy from Philip Chase. First book I liked a fair bit, and the second book I really liked. And there are some lingering things in the air, even though 2 does have a conclusion of sorts. There are some things that, logically, there are some things to wrap up and to kind of discover. So less likely to grab his books because there's only one left. If there was a book on my list of all of these that I think about probably the most of any book in my library that I am the most excited for, and I am so dying for it to come out, and I will do a reread of this one before book 2. It's actually this one. So if it was which ones I'm the most excited for coming out, this would be probably number 1. And that is The Will of the Many. Was like my favorite book of the last few years in terms of just being so excited for the next ones. I've said that a lot. I've had lots of favorite books, but this is the one that I think about the most, and I think about the ending the most. And it's like my Harry Potter again. It's like that feeling when I was young and I was waiting for the 4th one to come out, then the 5th one, and then I became an adult and whatever. I really like this. I really like this series, and I would like to get more to his other stuff here. I haven't I haven't gone to books 2 and 3, so I'm sure with how crazy and confusing it is, I'd probably have to do a reread. But anyway, Ursula K. Le Guin. I need to get through her library of things. I want to get through things like The Left Hand of Darkness, The Dispossessed, The Lathe of Heaven. I am very likely going to end the year having read maybe 3 or 4 of her books. Really looking forward to it. Another one that is high on the list and really on my mind recently because his last of the trilogy is going to be coming out, I believe, next month. That is Mark Lawrence's series, his library series, I believe it's called. Maybe. The Book That Wouldn't Burn, the first one, I really liked. The second one was very much a go-between. I think maybe the jury is out on whether it lived up to book 1. I think a lot of people really liked it, and a lot of people found it kind of, sometimes with these middle books, they just are really setting up the third book. I didn't love it as its own thing, but for what it is, I'm still really looking forward to book 3 coming out, and really, really like the series. It really has potential to be one of my favorites of the last few years. Number 11, I believe. I am very likely, this has been on my list since reading The Pillars of the Earth, but I am very likely going to finish the Kingsbridge Quartet. And there is a prequel, what is it called again? The Evening and the Morning, I believe. The map is covering the part of it, but I really want to get more to this. I did go to the Eye of the Needle. It did feel a little bit dated for me, so that kind of pushed away doing some of these other ones, but with how good The Pillars of the Earth was, I do want to get to that. I want to get to his Century series. I hope at the very least that I can pick up one more, at the very least by the end of 2025, but it's been my goal to finish all 5 of them. Once I finished Pillars of the Earth, I just bought the other 4 because I love it so much. In my top 10, so number 10 of authors I'm most likely to pick up. Actually, I should move this up the list. I'm going to move this up the list. This one, my new number 10, is going to be Christopher Ruocchio, and mostly because there's only one more I'm waiting for. I've read his standard book 1 to 5. I've read the novellas in between. I've liked all of them. I haven't been like the most vocal super fan of the series, which I know people really love it. I think it will go down as one that is remembered for a while, maybe a long while, who knows. I still need to get to Disquiet Gods, which is number 6. It's out right now before I get to number 7. So I'm likely to pick up number 6 sometime maybe in the summertime in preparation for the last one. I'm always going to pick up a Steven Erikson book. I've gone through the original 10. I still need to continue my reread. I need to start Midnight Tides, book 5, and then get to some of the side things. It has gone down the list because I have so many other things I want to get to before I do, dedicate too much time to a reread. But in terms, again, of things that I'm thinking about constantly, Malazan is always up on the list. Likely to pick up more Arthur C. Clarke to finish up more of that catalog. He's one of my very favorite sci-fi writers. He's a little bit bland and dry, but I like his stories, and they're usually short and easy to read, and I just like it. I like it. All right, going to my number 7. I would like to start my journey with Kurt Vonnegut, who some of the other YouTubers out there that seem to have the same sort of taste on sci-fi specifically recommend these novels. And so I thought, even though I haven't read it, I mean, I'm sure I'll read the first one. I'll either read Slaughterhouse-Five or Cat's Cradle or The Sirens of Titan or something. I'm sure, I mean, unless I hate it, and I won't read any more of them, but if I like it and they're short, I like to have these little filler novels. That's number 7 of things I'm likely to pick up. Number 6, and this is the stupidest series. This series is so dumb, but my taste in things that I'm grabbing lately has gone from these deeply philosophical types of books and series, and they've become pure. I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm grabbing is very pulpy and quick and modern in all the great ways. And like, I don't know if I've had my nose up for some of these series because they just seem so dumb and a waste of time and like no real, I don't know, but it's Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's vulgar, which I don't really go for. And it's so stupid, but it's so fun. And the new ones are coming out like in the hardbacks. And I read this and I listened to the audiobook. And I don't usually like doing that because I forget things. But it's fun. I don't know if I will go audiobook the whole way through. I might read the second one, start doing it without the audiobook because... again, I'm just a meathead when it comes to listening to audiobooks, but that's number 6 that I'm likely to get to book 2 soon-ish and then continue on and probably finish what's available this year. Who knows? Number 5, the top 5 of things I am likely to pick up, and some of these might surprise you, but the first one you might have guessed if you've followed the channel a little bit. I'm likely to pick up more Discworld as we keep going on in the year. Now, Mort, I've said this before, Mort, I read that a couple years ago, and it was a little bit of a mess for me. And so I stopped with Discworld, and then I picked up Guards on a buddy read, and I was laughing my head off, like out loud, trying not to wake people up, and and I thought it was so great. I bought the next couple in the City Watch. I love those characters. I think, man, same with Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's not that it's just pulpy and dumb and silly. Like, there's actually some heart in it, including in Carl. Like, it was surprising. And so I'm likely to get to at least the City Watch stuff. I'll get back to Mort at some point, give him another shot. It's very Monty Python. But get to some things like Going Postal and Small Gods and some of the other maybe standalones. But I'm likely to keep going in the City Watch this year. And who knows? This one might come out of the blue. Let me grab another one here for it. I am likely, and this is number 4, which I don't really talk about this series. I am likely to keep going on and read a bunch of these, of the Dresden File books. Now, these are the definition of pulpy and dumb and silly. I've only read 2 of them, and I really liked both of them. The reason is the stuff that I've been trying to write myself kind of is in the same wheelhouse without so much of a modern take on it. And he just is, even though they're so dumb, I read this second one recently, didn't do a review. He researches very carefully how he's going to go into these monster of the week detective noir stories. I like the characters. Harry Dresden, as well as a character, it's interesting because he writes, I know one of the criticisms would be the way he writes females. And as you can see through his perspective that it's like he's he's a young man with raging hormones, and whoever would do him, he's willing to do that. And so he sees them as, objects of desire in many ways. Like, the first thing is he's kind of talking about their appearance, but also he's such a good guy in some other ways, even though he's a very interesting character that I find very compelling. Some of the content matter, again, goes further than what I'm really interested in, but I am very much into the style of this Monster of the Week, and I heard that it expands into some other things. I like the premise of a modern wizard in Chicago in this noir sort of Buffy the Vampire Slayer sort of thing. So I am number 4. I am very likely to. This might even be like a number 3 or a number 2. That I am very likely to pick up more Dresden Files as we keep going on in the year. And if it loses me eventually, so be it. So be it. But at the moment, really looking forward to it. Number 3, I am very likely, and this isn't just for this author. I could probably throw some other authors. I'm a big fan of short, sci-fi, snappy standalones. And I just think of Philip K. Dick. I loved Ubik. I'm looking forward to I think called the Three Stigmata, where they like live in they can transfer their identities into like a virtual kind of dollhouse world. That might be the worst way of putting that. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to A Scanner Darkly, which it has the left brain and the right brain split. They're not interacting or whatever. So it's like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, where the criminal is the same person who is like the investigator, and they don't even know that the other exists or something like that. That's the premise that I've heard. I've looked really forward to doing more Philip K. Dick, things like Man in the High Castle, and other people would know things like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, a million other things that have been in movies and stuff. Number 2, Total Surprise. Total Surprise. It's what I'm currently reading. This might be total recency bias because of how into this I am. I am totally adoring my time with The Expanse. I am loving this book. And we'll see at the end if this will drop down a little bit or be off the list if I end up hating it. I really, really think this is the type of space opera for me. It feels very grounded in the sense that it feels like there are explanations for the science. It doesn't have to go into necessarily big emperor-like characters like Suneater, even though, again, I love Suneater. But I feel like this is very much more like a Stargate, Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek, human sort of thing where that might be the worst description of it. I like that the POVs are snappy and they go back and forth, and everything's been exciting so far. I've really liked it. So I am very likely going to keep going in the series, maybe even finish the series, maybe even have it a primary focus while I bounce back with some of these other standalones and things that I want to finish, and as I go back and forth with my number 1. But my number 2, again, is The Expanse. Like, holy smokes. I love it. I find it so awesome. So fun. My number 1, which if you could see here, I read the first book of... Let me grab it. I read the first book in his Dark Tower series, and then I ended up reading The Stand. I ended up reading The Eyes of the Dragon. I am, as soon as I finish this book of The Expanse, I'm going to go to book 2 of The Dark Tower. Stephen King just came out of nowhere for me, which is surprising because he's in every airport, convenience store. He's in every bookstore. I thought it just wasn't going to be for me, and maybe a lot of it isn't. Like, I have no interest in reading things like Carrie and some of the weird stuff. But his books have been really good, the ones I've read so far. And I feel like it's just an the next step for, like, I was obsessed with Goosebumps growing up. It was everything. Then I found other things, but Goosebumps were my jam, and I do like the idea of some of these books, some of these premises that I haven't even really considered before that seem like they will be totally my thing. Primarily, I'm going to be focusing on The Dark Tower this year. I imagine I will get through the first 4. As there's this big extended reading that I'm trying to do. I have to read things like Salem's Lot. I had to put a pause on The Talisman. I may even just not read that right away before getting to The Drawing of the Three. I might push that back. There's things like Insomnia and other ones. I'm excited for it. And I've liked them so far, and Gunslinger really caught my attention. I like his character work, and really looking forward to it. He's my number 1, which I never would have guessed. It doesn't mean he's my favorite author, but he's the one that I'm the most curious about at the moment for some of his arcs, and certainly The Dark Tower is the one that I'm the most curious about. The series I'm the most eager to keep going with, and that's why I've been doing some of these other side things that people say to read in between some of these other novels. And again, I have all these other 20 filling it out, but yeah. These 2 especially are the top of my list, but even the Dresden Files could probably be up there too. And whatever, the whole list is all out of order. I'm excited about all of these. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.